Hello and welcome to the Natural Healers Network TV show, where we showcase natural healers in the Bay Area and discuss healing modalities. We have a great show lined up for you today. We have two very special guests. Our first guest is LaDonna Silva. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. And then our next guest is Erin Hartnett. She's a licensed acupuncturist. And we're going to start with LaDonna Silva as our first guest. So thanks for being here, LaDonna.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes. So tell us, how did you decide to become a therapist?
Well, about 25 years ago, I met my own therapist. And I was 20 or so, in my early 20s. And I, through some major healing work of my own, related to some family issues and to some sexual abuse, I decided someday I'm going to do what my therapist was supporting me doing. And it made such an impact in my life at the time that I knew I wanted to follow that path to support others in the power of healing. So it kind of led my way, and it was something I needed to think about for some years and continue my own journey of healing. And I had a few other careers in the meantime, and then decided to go back to school and venture down this path.
So it had such a profound and positive impact on you that you wanted to share that with others. And
it did.
Yeah.
It did. I knew the power of healing and the power of expanding out from a place of limit, powerless, fear. I really knew that the only way to have done that for myself was to actually do that deep exploration with her. And so that really just supported some thriving part of me that knew someday I was going to be in her chair supporting others having the same opportunity. So got me excited. And here I am.
Here you are, having that kind of impact on other people.
Yeah.
How exciting is that?
Yeah,
Very
which is
exciting.
certainly why I love my work.
Yeah. So tell us about your practice.
So my practice is in San Jose, and I'm in a lovely space with other practitioners. And I primarily see folks that are coming, including adolescents as well as adults, but often looking for how to get unstuck from their own lives. And that could include grief because of a major sudden loss. I've worked with survivors of suicide or tragic loss, maybe from accidents of some sort. But also it could have been that they had some history in their childhood that it's kind of haunted them, perhaps, for so many years. And often I think so many carry secrets. So there maybe is a time in their lives where they decide, you know, I'm really stuck and I don't know what else to do. Or I'm in a relationship and I don't know how to move past this stuckness that I carry. So I often think that the primary focus of my practice is working with stuckness or resistance that clients bring in. And again, that could include trauma, that could include grief. It could include couples work that feel stuck at some point in their relationship. And I also work with a lot of LGBT clients that are maybe stuck in their secrecy or stuck in their own closet, per se, and ready to actually face that exploration of their truth around who they are in the world.
So for our viewers who may not know, what is LGBT? Can you describe what that is?
Yeah, I always assume that acronym is known. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender clients.
Okay, so you work with them?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Adolescents as well as adults, so anywhere in that realm.
Okay, and then you run some groups too. Do you want to speak about that?
I do. So on Tuesday evenings, I recently started a coming out group for adults that are in the LGBT community and that are interested in coming past that stuck place where they're often not willing to either be honest with others in their lives about their sexuality, or maybe they're just coming out truthfully to themselves. So a couple of clients are married and in transition out of their marriages. And the other group I run on Wednesday evenings is for women that have experienced childhood sexual abuse. So those are women, the group is of 8, and they're coming at various different stages of their healing work. Some just facing the secret, some that have worked through the secret for many years and are writing I have one client writing a book right now that's super excited about sharing her own story. So a variety of clients in that group as well.
Okay. So what would you say you love most about your work?
I think the most exciting piece is to witness a client moving through, whether it's with resistance or not at times, but moving through those places where they hurt, or the places where they have felt again stuck, right? Because I think that's often what our resistance is around, is how do I move through this pain? And we often don't know how. So I think the greatest invitation, and what's most exciting, of course, is when I'm in the room inviting those places, and maybe those stuck places, to transform, to shift. I will work with them in the room. I often find that most exciting, that they're taking a courageous step to making something shift in their own lives. And when their resistance is low and their intention is high, they make change. And to witness that is certainly the rewarding piece of the work.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you characterize the type of work that you do? The type of therapy?
Yeah, so I'm experiential. I love describing my work as a way to bring the work alive in the room. So our clients will often want to talk about their story or their history, but I think the most important piece is how to bring that work here into the room, alive and in their experience, in their discussion or in their storytelling. So, you know, I have a client that was just talking about a panic attack that they had, but it was as if it happened a week ago. And so what I'm more curious about is there panic in the room now? And when you tell me that story, how could we bring the work alive now? Because I believe healing happens in the now, in the moment, in the work in the room. So bringing the work alive. So I work experientially. I work with maybe, you know, look at your mother in that chair and what is it that you haven't said to her? So that's a very Gestalt-like enactment. For a client that thinks chair work is pretty stupid, I might invite them to work on a board and with dry erase markers, and then show me what this experience is like. Tell me a story by drawing something, or tell me a story, or tell me what you experience when we sit in the room, when you think about your mother, or whatever it is that we're working through. And I'll certainly be in touch with the somatic and the body experience of the client, which is a super important part as well. So there's a lot of ways I work. I feel like I'm not married to any one theory, but I have many tools in my toolbox. And my hope is I support the client deepening wherever it is that they deepen their work. And whatever modality that is certainly, I take the client's lead on that.
So what do you think it is that prevents people from healing, from actually, you know, getting out of that stuck place? What keeps them stuck? Yeah,
so I kind of imagine, I look at it very simply. I think we have a high intention or we have a low intention to heal. And our 2 meters that I would probably gauge are how high is my intent to move through this? And the other factor I look at is the resistance level. So sometimes our resistance is much greater than our intent. And if our intent is greater than our resistance, I imagine we could heal. But if I think, I just want to heal, tell me what to do, but I'm not willing to look at the hurt and the resentment and the pain that I carry, I sense there is a high resistance with a medium intent, right? Mm-hmm. So to me, the only way to heal is actually with high intention and low resistance. Mm-hmm. And we can move, I believe, through anything, through any level of stuckness, any level of pain. But we often have to take that courageous step to face the pain and feel it. Mm-hmm. It's the only way, I think, to get through the pain is to actually be in the pain, through the pain, which is where we find freedom, where we find our lightness, where we find our acceptance of ourself, sometimes even the acceptance of a greater circumstance, which we may have never imagined is possible.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned resistance, and when you say that word, are you saying resistance to healing? Resistance in what way? Can you describe that a little bit more?
Well, I think resistance looks looks like in so many different ways it shows up in the room. Maybe resistance is, I'm not willing to put my drink down to feel my feelings. I'm not willing to have a conversation with my mom, even if it's in this room, to admit to her how painful this experience has been. I want to protect my mom, rather than also allowing all those other feelings that I'm hiding and protecting. So I think resistance shows up in many ways. I might even make the world, my job, and you, my therapist, the problem, because I'm not willing to face where I am in my life, right? So our blame, our pointing our fingers may be sometimes the road through the resistance to find ways to look at or to explore our work. But I think a good therapist is going to hold the resistance as just fine. We can work, a good therapist can work with all levels of resistance. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way for a client to come in the room. I feel like it's our job to hold the space and offer the loving space no matter where they are.
Yeah, because it might take them a while to overcome that resistance, right?
Of course.
Or develop the courage to, step in to face their fear.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in my own life, my resistance was fear. I was so afraid. It felt paralyzing at times in my life. Yeah.
So speaking of that, how have you continued your own healing work?
Oh, so I often think many of us on this path are always having high intention to heal and to understand ourselves. So I certainly see my own therapist on occasion, which I think is super important. I also stay connected to colleagues and have a supportive system around me, which I think is super important as well. And when I think my reactivity or resistance, or even my own, we call it in our business countertransference, comes up with clients, I think it's super important to bring that into the room. So I love the essence of being transparent, open, honest. To me, that's my way of having my own integrity. And sometimes clients bring in our issues. So grief, for example, as I was tenderly grieving the loss of my parents. No coincidence that I had a child in my office who was a teenager who had just lost her mom. And I had lost my mom not that long before. So it was a really tender process. And I think the beauty of our work, and I often, chuckle, is, wow, I get paid to work with clients' work. And I think we often do our healing along the way as well. And what a gift, at least I see it as this profession is. So
yeah, I was going to ask about just the importance that you see in your own healing work, as it relates to doing therapy.
Yeah, I don't want to be in my client's way. So I think if we're therapists and we're not super conscious about ourselves, about our stuck places, or our hurts, or our maybe unresolved wounds, we might need something from our clients. We might need them to be a certain way. We might be uncomfortable with certain reactions that they provide. And I think it's super important to have a clear sense of what's happening for me in the room. I want to be an open container. I want to be an open inviter. And I want to be kind of like a scientist with my flashlight, curious, open, even if there's feelings and emotions that may feel scary or threatening to some. I want to stay big enough to hold that space no matter where my client needs to go, with a loving presence. So I think that's a super important part.
Yeah, okay. We have about 1 minute left. Is there anything left that you'd like to share with our viewers that you'd want them to know about you?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, I think there's many of us out there as therapists in the world, and I think it's super important that clients as consumers get to pick. And so if you feel like you read a website or you listen to a voice and you sense this is a good fit, I would invite clients to trust that. I think there's a super important part of us that we have the answers. And I don't think therapists are the wise souls that have the answers for our clients. I think our clients are the ones that certainly have the answers for themselves. And that feels super important, that they trust themselves. They'll find the right person for them.
Right. That's very empowering, right?
Most definitely.
Absolutely. Giving them the power to basically heal and make their own choices themselves. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, LaDonna, thank you so much for being here. It's been a real pleasure learning about your practice, and I know all the viewers are got to be excited about hearing about what you have to offer. So
Thank you, Steve.
thanks for being
I
here.
appreciate the opportunity.
So we'll be right back with the Natural Healers Network TV in just a moment. Please stay tuned.